and I will now also start sharing my screen and open the debate. And I have computer sound on because I'm going to show a video from the museum in the city of Leiden, and then of course for some reason also things appear in my screen because I'm a teacher and totally unaware of how this software works. So if you help me, I'm very, very, very grateful. If I'm correct, I now started sharing and you see my screen. You see the app groups that we did, international team 1 and 2 and the jury. And I have communications going on. This happens. And of course I'm going to answer and you'll hear probably a sound. I'm totally sorry for that. But welcome everybody to Challenging Perspectives. It is a project that has a global reach. Very welcome to all the global memories that we are sharing today. So we have teachers and students from Great Britain, Nepal, the Netherlands and Serbia. And we have also got a teacher who joined us from India and who will be joining us next year. And I hope that everybody also will join us next year. So it's a happy hello to you from Leiden, the Netherlands. If other people can perhaps solve the problems that show up on my screen with sound during the meeting, I'd be very grateful. So Nandri to the teachers and students from India. Dobrodošli to the students and teachers from Serbia. And this obviously I have not solved. Then Swagatam to the students and teachers in Nepal. Welcome students and teachers in the UK en welkom al iedereen in Nederland. Namaste. So our topic is memorialization. What or who do we commemorate in our country? How do we do that and why? We have several schools. We have the Rijnlands Lyceum Oostgeest in the Netherlands. We have Gymnasium Leiden in the Netherlands. We have Plymouth College in the UK, Plymouth. We have Kavya School in Kathmandu, Nepal. And I believe we have Gymnasia Zayakar. Forgive me if I pronounce it the wrong way. So I hope that information is all correct. We are working on global competencies. So we are all, of course, living in our own communities, but we are global citizens. We are working together. We in this project are showing leadership. We are showing critical thinking. We need to solve a problem. And we need to communicate about it. But can we be creative when we do it? Can we ask the correct questions, and can we be brave enough to undertake it, the solution? So we reflect and we wonder. So why do people around the world commemorate a person or an idea or an event? Whose voices have been silenced in history and whose voices are, and that's the most important question, are still silent in our societies today? So, welcome to the international debate on memorialization. From a global perspective, we have teams debating for and we have teams debating against the proposition or the motion. The majority in a society should decide who deserves a new monument, and we explore our own cultural perspective. Should a majority or minority or one wise person decide? Should we have a monument for a city, a country, or the whole world? Who or what should the monument represent? Should it be a person, an idea, or an event? Should it be from one perspective or from more perspectives? And whose voices have been silenced or are still silent today? So we have the object in the National Museum of Antiquities in the city of Leiden that was our pretext to have this debate in the first place. There were two emperors who were brothers, and one of the brothers killed the other brother because he wanted to be emperor on his own. He therefore killed him and erased all his images and everything that connected to him, and therefore erased his memory. But we have an object that still reminds us of who he was. And we have a link, I'm now trying to find, if I have it, to a video, and I have sound on. I hope it works. If it doesn't, I'm very sorry. But I managed it in such a setting that I think it does. It is Vera, who is a teacher but also a museum educator, who has the video on this object. Oops.
Hello, welcome in the National Museum of Antiquities. In this part of the museum, we will see objects found in the Netherlands in the Roman era. And behind me, you see a very big building inscription. And please read with me. From the left on top, you see Imp Kais, the emperor, Septimius Severus. He was emperor and he dedicated this inscription to, the last line, Numero Exploratorum Batavorum, a group of scouts in the Roman army that were located here in Leiden. And what is interesting, and maybe you have noticed already, is that in the second line of this inscription, you see damage. This is not damage that was caused by the excavation or from the big time that this inscription has existed, but this is done on purpose. A name that was before in this inscription is explicitly erased from the inscription. Which name? We know it's the name of Geta. So the story is Septimius Severus had two sons, Caracalla and Geta, and he wanted them to be emperor together after his death. But Caracalla didn't like this idea so much, so what he did, he killed his brother, actually when he was sitting on his mother's lap. It's quite a cruel story. But this wasn't enough for him. He also wanted to erase Geta's name from history. So this name was scratched from the inscriptions, and heads were removed from statues. So this is a Roman example of a person that has been erased from history. We have seen many examples also in the 20th century, but it's a thing that has been going on for a long time. On behalf of our museum, I want to wish you a very good debate and a fantastic day. Good luck.
So, thank you for that. Now, that is the pretext to this debate. We have two teams. We have Team Blue, that is the team for, and we have Team Pinkish, that is the team against. We have two opening speakers, Siloha from Nepal for, Milu from the Netherlands against. We have an open debate, and then we have two closing speakers, Jessica from the UK, Rocky from the UK. Then we have team captains Lex for and Ben against. We have several time slots, and so far, we're already in a delay. but I hope we have communicated it correctly. And here's my good luck to you, speakers. I hope that we have a marvelous experience together. So what is for me to do now is that I mute my microphone and that I hope Siloa is ready for her opening speech, and that Siloa will say to Milou that she can continue with the opening speech against, and then raise your hand if you want to speak. I will just say your name, and hopefully we have an equal divide between teams for and against. Good luck.
For good For good ideas and true innovation, we need human interaction, conflict, argument, and debate. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this debate from Kavya School in Kathmandu, Nepal. We thank our hosts, the students, and teachers in Leiden, the Netherlands. It is my honor to present both teams as internationally mixed teams with students from Great Britain, Nepal, the Netherlands, and Serbia, all working together to inform an international audience. Welcome from this side of the House. We are the proponents to the motion. The motion for today's debate is the majority in a society should decide on who deserves a monument. Why is this so important? Well, we know that monuments are the buildings or structures famous for their architectural and cultural heritage. They are the famous symbols of the past that provides a lot of historical and political information about a nation. And we, as today's proposition, strongly believe that this is important because they are the treasure of a nation, and it helps us appreciate the past and understand the development process of the nation. Now, please allow me to define the motion. We believe that in a democratic society, the majority of adults always gets to decide on everything, but majority can mean many different things. Majority by ethnicity or cultural group, majority in terms of political leaders, and so on. But whatever the term refers to, we can still say that majority means a large number of people are getting involved in the decision making of this whole topic. And we agree on this because the more the people, the more ideas and opinions we get, which means that majority can vote on what's right and form a better place by deciding what's best for their society. Lastly, let us also define another important term on this debate: people who deserve a monument. A place with historical or cultural background from the past deserves a monument to be erected. But if we're talking about people, then we believe that people who have contributed to their society in order to make it a better place by maintaining the peace deserves a monument to be erected to commemorate them for their contribution towards the betterment of the society we are currently living in. The few points we're focusing on today are: it is the goal of any government to please the majority, and seeing as we live in a democracy, the majority should decide. And the second one is a fully informed populace would likely vote for a monument that is deserving uh, rather than rather than their own ethnicity or social group. So a well-informed majority takes into consideration a minority that tends to be overlooked. And the third one is that what is the fairer alternative to democratic voting, and how would this method result in majority's voices not being discarded? And now, by saying this much, I would like to end my opening here and pass it on to the opponents for their view towards this topic. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen in the jury and the audience, welcome to this debate from the students and teachers in Leiden, Netherlands. The ultimate tragedy is not the oppression and cruelty by the bad people, but the silence over that by the good people, from Martin Luther King. We are the opponents to the motion in this debate, and we are a mixed team of students from Great Britain, Nepal, and the Netherlands and Serbia. Welcome to this side of the house, the opponents. The motion for this debate today is the majority in a society should decide on who deserves a monument. We strongly believe that a minority should also be able to decide who deserves a monument. In the Netherlands, for instance, groups such as the LGBTQ community have a monument in Amsterdam, but not in the city of Leiden. Not all countries in the world are well-functioning democracies. What if a country is run by a dictator? Then the majority would never represent everybody in the country. Now, as today's proposition strongly believe that this is true, let us also define another important term in this debate. People who deserve a monument. Of course, there are many important people who deserve a monument. But sometimes they have received a monument for an action we no longer care for today. Some even are remembered for actions that now put us to shame. For instance, 400 years ago, one of the Dutch city leaders, Johan Maurits, was involved in slave trade, yet we still honor him with a monument. Besides, do we need to create monuments for people or events or ideas? Thirdly, we believe that what is meant by society will always include and exclude groups in society by definition. We put before you also to consider the missing voices in any society, no matter what level. Thank you, jury, audience, hosts, and proponents. This international team is wearing pink and are ready to for the open debate.
Thank you, Siloa, and also for the team for, and thank you, Milou, for the team against, and thank you for somebody for silencing me, which I quite forgot. So that is very helpful. Now, I would really appreciate for both teams to start the open debate. So we have had the opening speeches. Thank you very much. And I see Andre, who is listed as Fritz, but we all know as Andre from Serbia, to open this debate, please, and unmute yourself.
Can I make a small point? Is it on purpose that you're still sharing your screen, Ma'am Spearings?
At this particular moment, I'm still sharing indeed, and what I see is probably also what you see now. So when I give the floor to the speakers, then you would be also be able to see what I see. So I think it's an okay thing. Do you agree, Andre?
Yeah, okay. For first, I want to thank both of open speakers. It was very good. And also, I want to ask everyone, does everyone give me permission to talk first? Yeah? Okay. So, as we see, everyone gave me permission, so we can say the majority gave me permission, right? In that terms, we can say we have similar situations when we talk about monuments, like the majority will say their opinion and the decision will be made. So if we say like that, the majority should make decisions and things like that. People should be given the opportunity to determine which monument will be erected, and each of us has the right to vote and contribute to that decision. Yeah, that was the opening ceremony. So as Siloa said, our team will talk the most about democracy and how majority is. How majority will make decisions. Okay, that's it.
So I'm opening up to whether there are speakers who would like to also share their views. So I see somebody raising their hand here, and if I share my screen, could you unmute yourself, student here, because I do not see your name.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, so we think that democracy can be useful in many situations, but for monuments, we think it is not in order, because for democracy to work well with monuments, people would have to be very well informed to make a well-informed decision. Most people do not feel like making a well-informed decision because I think the majority doesn't really care about the monument or not enough to inform themselves very well, and then they'll make a decision based off of whatever they feel like on that day. And on top of that, the majority at the moment may not have the majority in a few years, in a few generations in mind, so they will vote for what they think now is useful. Whereas with a small committee, they can think forward because they can make a well-informed decision thinking about what is relevant now and what will be relevant in generations to come. Thank you.
Thank you too. And could you please also say your name and also the school or country that you represent before I assign word again to Andre?
Yeah, my name is Marie van Gelder and I'm from Stedelijk Gymnasium Leiden in the Netherlands.
Thank you, Marie. Andre.
Cool. I agree, but that people that you say they are competent and then that are well informed about monuments are also chosen by the majority. For example, in the political terms, we have members of parliament, right? And every local area have their members of parliament in the political party of their country, right? So if your local area don't have the member of parliament in the political party, so if in the political elections, or I mean parliamentary elections, your members of parliamentary isn't listed in the list of political members, so your city won't have anyone to represent city and historical members that are important to your city, and by that some people that are on the top of your country don't know many things about your city, so they'll just give some money and monument will be put anywhere that isn't important for your citizens in your city. So that decision isn't acquired by mutual agreement between people in that city and that people there that are competent for the building.
Thank you, Andre.
Yeah.
I will now give the floor to Kieran.
Andre, first of all, I'm Kieran. I'm from England, and I'm the pink team, which is the opponents to the proposition. On Andre's first argument, he asked everyone if everyone was okay with him speaking, and the majority agreed, which he used as proof of democracy as the system that works. But theoretically, if someone hadn't been comfortable with you speaking, if someone had spoken up and said that, no, I would have preferred someone else to speak, it's reasonable to assume that even if that's not the majority, that's one person's strong feelings and people can accommodate that. So while democracy on a more grand scale, on the scale of countries and decision making is important, on smaller scale things such as local monuments, I think it's reasonable to delegate to just a smaller committee that's appointed to make those decisions, possibly not democratically, but in the interest of the majority, because in the interest of the majority and directly ruled by the majority don't always necessarily mean the same thing.
Thank you, Kieran, for your contribution. And I noticed that we have had opinions shared and facts shared, or evidence, or perspectives on the theme of the dimensions. So, which part of society, on democracy as well, and what it means to us in different societies. Do we also have contributions that share light on who are the missing voices in society then? So in your respective societies, because we have Serbia, we have Nepal, we have the United Kingdom, and we have the Netherlands. Who are the missing voices then so far not represented? That part of the motion. Can anybody shed perhaps a light on that and would raise their hand to maybe explain to us who the missing voices are?
I'm sorry, I didn't understood you very well. Can you explain me better? What did you ask exactly, Marlene?
Yes, I asked who are the people not represented in the monuments in your society today, and also I think maybe Shupara from Nepal. Maybe you can be speaker now. Are you there, Shupara?
Yes.
Can you also explain how about missing voices in your society today? Maybe explain about the indigenous people and the nomadic people in your country in Nepal. Would you do that?
Of course. It does not take to prevail, but rather an irate, tireless minority keen on setting brush fires of freedom in minds. With this thought, hello and namaste to the people from all around the world. I'm Subham Raj Bhandari from Nepal, and I'm here representing the pink team, the against team of the debate. A subgroup of population with unique social, religious, ethnic, and racial characteristics known as the minority are often neglected in various aspects of a monument or many things like that. Monuments are the buildings, structures, or sites that are often erected to commemorate a notable person or event that is of historical or cultural importance. In this world full of people who like to have power by themselves and who believe that the bigger the group of people, the bigger the influence. But in our country, Nepal, it's a little different. In my country, Nepal, also, there are voices of minority. I also think the minority needs to put some voices. There is a population of the indigenous groups of people, Newars, who are often known as the inhabitants of Kathmandu Valley. And also they are represented as one of the castes of Nepali people. Also, one also should consider that the minority people have equal fundamental and human rights and privilege, which the majority should not neglect. One should not be blinded by the influence and positions, but being a human being with feelings, we need to respect each other's rights and privilege. In my country, Nepal, there is a specific group of people called the Rautis, who are often known as the people who don't have a permanent settlement. They also have their own kinds of monuments, which I think is a great move towards that the minorities also need to have their own monuments. Also, in my country, Nepal, the states are creating many non-judgmental rules and systems which are helping the minors to build and protect their own monuments. In this world with about 7 billion people of population, the opinion may vary. But also there are many kinds of things that we can do to collect everyone's opinions, such as nowadays we are able to think and speak each other through online. The opinion may vary, but there needs to be equal participation and no criminalization between the minority of majority from all around the world. Even though the minorities are building the monuments physically for the majority by helping them to build by doing some kind of labor, then why aren't the minors getting to decide their own monuments? Also, when the world is speaking about equality every single time, then why only the actions of the actions of majority are taken into action and the minorities are often neglected or dominated? By saying this much, I would like to end right over here. Thank you.
Thank you from Nepal, Shubham, and I would like one other speaker from the team 4 to now take the floor and have the final say in the open debate, before which we go to the international team channels again, confer with each other, and then we have the opening speeches. So I say 111265. Could you maybe say your name and where you're from?
Yeah, my name is Onne de Heij, and I'm from the Stedelijk Gymnasium Leiden, the Netherlands. And I really appreciate your speech, and I'm not going to pronounce your name because I'm probably going to make mistakes. But the speaker from Kathmandu, and I want to say that I guess we can all agree that an uninformed majority is very dangerous and can have catastrophic consequences. So therefore, we should not let the majority entirely decide. We should maybe have a small group of people who can do research towards people who deserve a monument, and then propose that and give small information about it, like a small report on whether they should deserve a monument, and then the majority can decide, because then they are informed, and the majority is responsible for who gets a monument, but it's not entirely dangerous. And of course, there always should be something like that you can propose a majority, a monument for a group, so that you should propose a new monument for a group.
Thank you. And I think your name was Onne, right?
Yes.
Thank you, Onne. Now, considering time, because I do see that more people wanted to be involved, and I do appreciate, but in the time slots, here is what happens next. My next question would be also, what dimensions do we then, are we taking? Are we doing this from a local, national, or global level? So that would be an interesting question, but I do invite you now to first confer in your teams, in your own channels, because I see the time slot is 1:48, and we are lagging behind with 8 minutes, meaning that the rest of it lags behind as well. So I ask you to return at 2 o'clock exactly with your closing speeches. And thank you so much for your contributions. Go to your teams. 2 o'clock, return here, please, with your closing speeches.
I've been typing some notes as they go just to make sure we have a record of who spoke.
Thank you so much.
So that's in the chat.
Yeah, thank you very much. See you in 10 minutes.
Yeah, see you then.
Okay, just a quick reminder. I was here all the time because this was the only link I could watch actually debate. I'm for the jury, just to ask you, to tell you.
Hello.
So, hello?
Hello.
Hello, Marlene. Nice to finally hear your voice after all this time messaging. Yeah.
I guess you are Mladen from Serbia.
Yeah. Mladen here.
Great.
What's
Do you
name?
know where to go to the jury now? Do you know where to go to?
No, I have no idea because I only spoke with one member of the jury. That's that kid,
Karam.
Henry something. And what are we supposed to do now? Sorry for asking. I was watching the debate all the time.
Now you got to relax.
Okay.
So we have the closing speakers,
Mm-hmm.
and they in 10 minutes, and then we will have the closing speaker for the against team, who is Rocky from the UK, and then we have the closing speaker from the for team, Jessica, and then Akaram. Hi, Martin. Nice to see you.
Yeah.
So teacher of the year in Serbia. Karam will open a meeting in the jury teams. And you have, I hope, already seen the 3 categories: presentation, content, and teamwork.
Yeah, I printed
Exactly.
out.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you so much. So
No problem.
when they have done their closing speeches, I will take the floor in this meeting, introducing the Design Thinking Challenge and also the survey that my colleague, Ms. Meertens, made for everybody to evaluate this event. And then while we do that, you go and confer with the jury, and we have a prize for best team, and we have a prize for best
Oh
speakers.
yeah, I read that. Okay. So
So
anyway, we now wait for the final closing and then go to the jury room, start conversation, speak with the other judges, and that's it.
and that's
Okay.
it.
I was so glad meeting you.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah.
We
See ya.
thank you so much. Okay, I'm gonna also mute myself. Hi, Mark. I will now put in a message to everybody that, you know, in 3 minutes we're going to go on here. Wow, great time. I am completely amazed. If you mute your microphones, that's a thing to now also take into account. Hello, Miss Meertens. Then I will, because I'm still sharing my screen, will take this to the next step, to the closing speeches, after which we will share some other information about the survey and evaluation, and also about the next step, the Design Thinking Challenge. So I'm guessing that we are all here. I must say that thank you so much for understanding this and also keeping to the time slots. We only have an 11-minute delay now, which is quite amazing, to be honest. Thank you so much for that. So I will now go to the next step and share, if I can find it, a second. The next bit of information. Oh yeah, no, I'm skipping ahead. So the closing speeches is what we're doing now, and Rocky is the first person to speak for the team against, so that would be the team in pink-ish. Rocky, where are you, and could you take the floor for your closing speech, please?
Yeah, so I'm Rocky from the UK. I'm obviously representing the opposing side. So we believe that the majority shouldn't decide on monuments for a couple of reasons. Thanks to everyone for participating today. I thought the debate was great. There were so many brilliant points that were raised, and it was quite a fair debate, I thought, as well, actually. So we did well there. But I think I'd like to say, just to start with, the majority is obviously important, and we let the majority so important now. I think we have democracy, and that's sort of the gold standard for political systems these days. I think it's all around the world, and people accept that as the way things should be for major decisions to do with a country's foreign policy or financial policy. However, I think in this case here, we have local monuments, which are obviously very important, but I think at the moment they're not important enough to deserve a mass vote where we have a referendum for every statue that's made. I think we could make it contextual, but there are lots of holes here where who decides which monuments we should vote on. So I think at the end of the day, we have to decide and say, no, a committee should decide. Majority, as I said, are important, but in this case, a majority isn't the best way to go because of something called the tyranny of the majority, where, as we were shown in the pool, which is probably the best way to go, and is very different to here, where we have sort of minority groups aren't represented. We have many statues of sort of white slave traders that just shouldn't be up anymore. And I think allowing the majority decide on that is very open to populist decisions. And we've seen this today with the referendums that we've had to do with Brexit, where we're in they call it a post-truth era of politics, where it's not about facts or figures. It's more about emotions and not a rational argument anymore. I think that's very easy to be abused. And as we sort of mentioned in our team chat, I think going back in the past, this has been the most notable example of this is the Nazis, which is obviously was an awful era in Europe as a whole, and I think that was brought about by bad circumstances to do with the economy, and then people feeling bad, so the majority overtakes the minority, and these people are literally the minority, are literally removed from the planet because that's how the majority decided it to be. So I think obviously monuments aren't as radical a case, but if you extrapolate that argument, you can sort of start to see that there are lots of problems with using the majority, and the majority aren't gold standard for every political decision that we see at the moment. Yeah, I'd like to pass over to the majority closing speech. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jessica on the blue team, closing speaker for the Proponents. And I'd like to summarize by saying that we strongly believe that the majority in a society should decide who deserves a new monument for 3 unquestionable reasons. Firstly, the majority should always decide. To reiterate our point of view, all the countries present today are run by democracies. We are fortunate that we do not live in a society where the government is feared by the people. And because of that, the government has to keep the populace content. A committee would still miss voices of the people. And a committee, in a sense, is also democracy because they are chosen by the people. And the best way to keep the populace content would be to give them the choice of who to memorialize in a monument. Secondly, and sadly, the minority is not normally considered. In the future, monuments that were thought of to be very good, of people who've done amazing things, might be seen differently. But how we see those monuments depend on what we want to learn from history. They can represent the way we used to be, not who we currently are. However, if individuals are well informed, they will be persuaded not just by ideals and ethnicity or class, but will consider the views of the community as a whole, including those who are not normally well represented. And together they can decide what to do with monuments that are no longer accepted, such as the Edward Colston monument statue in Bristol, which was put in a museum. Finally, there's nothing fairer than listening to the voices of the people, whoever they might be. The choice of who should be memorialized should not be up to the rich, the influential, or those who can shout the loudest, but they should be made by everyone, no matter their wealth, their power, or the strength of their voices. Thank you.
Thank you, closing speakers, Rocky and Jessica. And now I will invite the jury to confer, but also I will inform the other people now of some other details. So if everybody can remain and follow my information a bit, then I invite the jury, who is Mr. Karam Al-Kaisi from the Netherlands, Mr. Edenbath from the UK, Mr. Mladen Slivovic from Serbia, who, sorry, is not here in this PowerPoint. I notice, my apologies. Mr. Tabin Baskota from Nepal, Kathmandu. We have jury conference room. While I continue, we have asked a speaker or a jury member from all of the countries because we think that represents the quality of the debate best. And of course, there's always going to be different interpretations and different perspectives of all the things that we are a witness to, but we will also, of course, have them. At the same time, we have started up this project, and this is already amazing. This debate is meant for us to reflect on critical points of view. So we are going to design a new monument or think about adding an who is a fantastic from the Netherlands, has an evaluation survey, and she is sending it to you. Put these in the chat right now. I hope I could. Send things in an email later on today, but now she's going to send them in the chat. Could you fill them in, because it's not just about this, also about sharing this with people in other countries. I hope I am.
Right, so I do hope that you all caught what Ms. Spearing said. She keeps cutting out with me, so I hope that was not the case with the rest of you. Either way, yeah. So I made a little survey. So one for the students and one for teachers. Teachers, I will inform you later, share that link later in order to avoid confusion. The link, I have just posted it in the chat. As Ms. Spearings also said, it will also be shared with you through email in case you cannot access the chat for whatever reason. Please fill out this survey as quickly as possible so we can use the information that we gather from it for future projects. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Meertens. I hope that went well, because something was up with my, I think, connection. So I hope everybody got that. It's in the the design thinking challenge has.
Miss Spearings is cutting out with me again.
Okay, thank you, Milou.
I'm not quite sure what happens now, but there.
It keeps happening.
I think
this task will be
problems and issues with
I will
internet connection.
Yeah, so Miss Spearings, you're cutting out with multiple people apparently. So I think that what she wanted to say was that the next aspect of this project is the design challenge, where we either decide on creating an entirely new monument to honor people that have not been heard yet, or we consider or think that they have to be heard, or whether we want to maybe add something to an existing monument in order to allow the silent voices to be heard within that monument. Ms. Spearings, is it possible for you to maybe share your PowerPoint slide, because I'm very nearly convinced that there are the dates for when that design challenge is supposed to happen are on those slides. So I sincerely hope she can share that PowerPoint with you guys so she can tell you or let you know when those dates are. Though she does seem to have completely frozen by this point. That's quite a shame.
Or maybe we can share the dates later.
That might, yeah.
That's important. It's important that we know what to do. It's a real pity that we cannot hear Marleen, but we can hear each other. The rest of the team can hear each other.
Exactly. I think she left right now, so maybe refreshing will help. Hopefully we get her back soon. Anjo, I'm quickly going to check in with the jury how they are doing. Or is someone else of the teachers already present with them? Otherwise, I'm going to check on them, how they're doing. Yeah, I'll see you guys in a minute.
This will obviously take a few minutes, I guess. So maybe somebody wants to share their views. We have an extra guest here from India, Atul. I can see you now, and she's also participating today. She wants to know what's happening here, and maybe we can have your school in this team too next year. So welcome. That's what I can say now, for now. But maybe somebody else would like to share their thoughts or give some ideas, share some ideas.
Welcome back, Marlene. I see you're back with us.
We hope she back with good internet connection.
Am I back online now? Okay, because all of a sudden, I don't know, I was checked out. I can imagine though. But is this the proper channel to be in again? Okay, so we're waiting for the jury now, I think.
Yeah, Yvette has just gone to see them.
Okay. So far so good. It's just the jury that we need. Hi, Jessica.
Yeah. Jessica, did you want to say something?
No.
Sorry. I wanted to ask if we can talk now while waiting the jury. Yes.
Andre, I think that the jury will be here soon, but of course you're free to speak. But maybe it's better to, if you want to speak to everybody, open a private chat, because there are so many people here, and when we start immediately. And also we're waiting for the jury. Is that fine by you, Andre?
Yeah, of course. It's totally fine.
Yeah, good. So I think we best mute our microphones and maybe smile at each other. And then I will also check international smiles. And then I will check with Miss Meertens, who is totally in control, to see whether the jury is ready for you. Is that okay? So far, it's really been challenging, all these perspectives. Very good.
You can, of course, also fill out or fill in, I don't know what to say, but the form. So you can use this time to fill out the form so that we can improve this project next time.
Yes. Thank you, Miss Roos from the Netherlands. That's a very good idea. And also I will try and see if I can also put in chat the link to the Design Thinking Challenge task that is open up next after the debate. There is a task how to send in your PDF as a team to design a new monument or add an element to an existing monument. So I will also do that while we wait for the jury, who I hope will not be out for much longer. A bit of patience, and thank you very much.
Hello, everyone. The jury is currently coming back, so they'll be in a few minutes, a few seconds.
Much sooner than you were expecting.
There we are. Wow. That's real quick.
So, do you give me permission to announce the winners?
Thank you very much, Karan, because indeed we have a winning team now, and we have the two most convincing speakers, if you wish, for both teams. And I welcome the jury to the round-off of this debate. From the Netherlands, Karan Al-Kaisi, who is the speaker, I think, who takes the floor first. And then we have Mr. Slivovic from Serbia, we have Mr. Baskota from Nepal, and Mr. Aiden Bath from the UK. Karan, can I give you the floor, please?
Yeah, thank you. So we actually came to a unanimous decision on who would win this debate, and we agreed that the opposing team, so the red or pink team, as you would call it, is certainly the winner of this debate. We think they made the strongest argument for that the majority shouldn't be the ones who are going to decide who gets a monument or not, because monuments are a way to empower the voices that are often overheard or overlooked upon. And going back to that point, we think the strongest speaker from that party was Marie from Stedelijk Gymnasium Leiden, especially because she mentioned the point that the majority in a population we might have now will change over a few years' time, because of course demographic shifts, etc. So we think she was the best speaker, and then the best speaker of the blue party was, please correct me if I pronounced it wrong, Siloha from Nepal. We think her opening speech was very articulate, and I think she all addressed us very inclusively, so that's really great. I accidentally forgot the amount of points everyone got, so if my colleague from Serbia can elaborate on that. Thank you.
Well, basically, it was a very close call, almost like when you're shaving. It was basically very narrow margin. We decided that the both teams should get the top score for the presentation. The opening speeches were done greatly, the closing speeches were done greatly, but then again they had the time to prepare, and they showed us that they had time to prepare. And we also decided that to give points for the teamwork in the maximum, because all the teams were actually giving all the efforts and all the ideas together. And finally, it came down to an argument. We heard the evidence from the one side, the evidence from the other side, and we decided that the opposing team will get the 90 points, while the team for the 4 will get 80 points. And basically, this is the only difference the teams show, and that's how actually we decided a winner. So it was really narrow, but it all came down to the more evidence, more substantial evidence, and evidence I never heard before, because that's also being a big time of surprise. Thank you so much.
Thank you all jury members for sharing your views and also sharing your decision with us. And then, yeah, before we all start applauding, and before we express all our gratitude to each other for sharing this wonderful event, and we have the survey, we have the new design thinking challenge. Your teachers will be in touch with you. But can you now please all switch on your cameras, switch on your microphones, and make a lot of noise in acknowledgement for each other.
Hey, well done.
Hey.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. We will share all the publications. I hope you will make this public as well in your own countries. And then your teachers will be in touch with you, okay? Enjoy your wonderful Sunday, and thank you so much for offering it up to this experiment, okay?
And thank you, Marlene and Yvette, for all the organisation that you've done in bringing us all together. We've been very aware that you've done the bulk of the work, and it's been much, much appreciated.
Yeah. Here, here.
Much. Here, here. See you next year.
Okay.
Maybe in person. Maybe we need a visit. Yeah.
Yes, please visit. I will organize.
Yeah, we would like to visit each other.
That would be cool.
Andre.
Would be great. Huh? I can help you.
Yes, we can do it together, Anjo, of course.
Yeah, that would be really nice.
Super.
Great.
You're welcome.
Okay. Bye.
See ya. Goodbye.
See you in 2022.
Bye, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Oh, look at us teachers now. I think maybe we can just, hi Tapien, smile.
Hi,
I think
guys.
we have a beautiful international smile here on our faces. Shall we do the rest via email?
I do want to quickly share that questionnaire for the teachers, since it is slightly different than the one for students. Oh, hang on. Let me quickly make one slight change. That's purely for admin purposes.